Hello, Anointed Ones, and welcome to Anointed TV, where we uncover the truth, shine light in the darkest places, and stand for justice. Today, we bring you a heartbreaking story, a tale of betrayal, alleged abuse, and the courageous fight of a family for justice. This is the story of Jonathan and Joni Lamb, whose lives were upended when their young daughter revealed a devastating truth in November 2020. Their journey has been one of unwavering faith in the face of adversity. But the questions remain. Why did this happen? And why has there been such resistance to seeking the truth? The nightmare began when their daughter confided in Joni about what had happened to her. Joni, a mother determined to protect her child, immediately reported it to the police. However, after an investigation at the child's school revealed no male employees matching the description of the alleged abuser, the case was closed. This description, the physique of an adult taller than her father, only deepened the mystery. In August 2021, the family faced more disappointment when they were told by a forensic psychologist that the accused man was innocent. Yet it wasn't until November 2023 that the truth behind a cover-up began to emerge, prompting Jonathan and Joni to have the case reopened. They shared their story publicly with Julie Roys in August 2024. After due diligence, it was brought to light in November, sparking a conversation that has rocked the ministry world. In her interview with Laura Lynn Thompson, forensic counselor Debbie added her professional voice to this tragic story. Without revealing explicit details, she confirmed that something deeply traumatic had occurred to Jonathan and Joni's daughter, something that demands further investigation. Let's listen to what Debbie had to say.
You met with Jonathan and Joni first. I want to make sure I've got that right because Jonathan always wants to clarify all of that. But
that is correct.
It's correct. Okay, so you met with them first, and if you could tell me sort of what was portrayed as what had happened, and what you saw as the red flags that there was a big concern for their daughter.
Again, the most important thing was the changes in behavior. Children frequently, especially at preschool age, cannot totally explain in words everything that they are going through. And so the way they express is in their behavior. All changes that happen in behavior to a child should be carefully examined, because this is how you may know, other parents, other people may know that something has happened. If they don't want to go somewhere, if they don't want to be around somebody, even with her physical body, Jonathan and Joni's daughter was telling them that something was wrong. Something was radically wrong.
Yes, that's correct. Well, Jonathan and Joni, and I'm sure that they shared this with you as well, but one of the things was if they would go to Daystar, and if the alleged Pete walked into the room, the daughter would just literally melt, like literally shake, crawl under a table. Would this be the kind of behavior that would significantly make it seem as if she's having a reaction that would be normal in the case of an SA?
Yes, absolutely.
And so were you able to see the precious young lamb by herself?
I believe that Denise Boggs was there with me.
Yes.
As we tried to get her to open up. But I was totally unsuccessful at doing that. Like I said, I had never seen a child that was so totally shut down or closed off.
And that is the testimony of Jonathan and Joni, that she was able to disclose to them some very important details and very detailed explanation of what someone was doing to her. And she was also able to disclose that to Joni Lamb. Joni Lamb then went with Susie to the school because they were concerned about where on earth would someone have had this kind of access to the girl, not wanting to ever think that it's a family member. And Debbie, can you tell me, if it is a family member, is it typically people don't want to believe it? Is that a regular sort of feeling? Like it can't be, the grandfather, it can't be an uncle, it can't be the brother, like it's typical not to want to believe that.
Yes, unless the entire family has grown up in a culture of that. It was a pleasure meeting with Jonathan and Susie, but from the very first time I sat down with them, okay, I was concerned about what they had told me about the behavioral and emotional changes that was going on in the life of their daughter. And so I did have an opportunity to meet with their daughter. And quite frankly, I was convinced that something had happened to this little girl. And I say that after 20 years of serving as a school counselor and making literally 100 or more reports about SA and looking at her behaviors. And from what Jonathan and Susie shared with me, I was convinced that their daughter had indeed been affected by something very serious. And so I encouraged them to immediately get her to a counselor in the Dallas, Texas area. They were at a retreat center when I saw them, and they were here in North Carolina. And I knew I couldn't follow up on a weekly basis with this young girl. So I encouraged them to find a counselor in their area and then take the steps of reporting in Texas that they needed to. And especially that included meeting with perhaps a police officer or the Department of Social Services or Child Protective Services in the Texas area. But from the time that I first saw her, she was just simply closed down as much as any child that I've ever worked with. And it really broke my heart when I had to say to her parents, yes, I think you are right. Something has happened to your daughter. But it was clear from what they said to me in terms of the radical change in behavior that she had undergone, from being outspoken and from being very lively to this closed off little girl that really did not speak and who just hid her head. And much of the time that I tried to enter into a conversation with her, she was just huddled up and closed off. And I was terribly concerned about her.
Could this be why Joni Lamb has resisted a third-party investigation? Could it be fear that the truth might finally come to light? Debbie's analysis raises critical questions. But one moment stands out. Jonathan and Susie revealed that after the alleged incident, Joni Lamb requested a private meeting with their daughter. Why? What was said in that meeting that caused the child to withdraw so suddenly? And why did Joni act before the police could?
Debbie, one of the things that took place was that as soon as there had been this kind of disclosure from the child initially before they came to see you, there had been a disclosure that was very, very alarming to Susie. And so she wanted to go to the police. And what she did, because she trusted Joni Lamb, she called her, and immediately she was told, no, don't, let's not go to the police, just bring the child to me. Now, in your professional opinion, if anyone has a child that has disclosed something, what are the steps that should be taken immediately?
Okay. First of all, you need to make certain that not too many people intervene in that process. It needs to go immediately to a police officer who has been trained, or to a child protective services personnel who has been trained in the specific techniques of eliciting information without planting anything in a child's mind. And so, generally speaking, the fewer people, the better before you get them to that place. You don't want to ask a lot of leading questions. You want to just assure the child, tell them that they are going to be safe, and immediately present them to people who can carry out the investigation. And other people that may be well-meaning or not, but certainly you don't want to allow any contamination of the story, and you don't really want to allow other people to speak into that situation.
And in this case, some of that took place, different voices, and also just a general desire of the Lamb family not to go to the police. And I think that's maybe the most difficult part, is that because of all of the cover up, because of the protection of the ministry, and this had been sort of a pattern in many different circumstances, including the essay of Susie, actually, by another person right there on the Daystar grounds, from what I understand. I'm actually not certain where it happened, but because of this, this cover-up sort of mentality, things did not get handled well.
This situation is a heartbreaking reflection of misplaced priorities in some ministries. Jesus himself called us to defend the voiceless, yet many seem more concerned about protecting wealth, reputations, or relationships. This is about more than one family's tragedy. It's about demanding accountability and integrity from our spiritual leaders. It's about justice for a 5-year-old girl who deserves protection, not silence. If the accused is innocent, then a proper investigation is the path to healing. Yet, by shaming victims and whistleblowers on social media, some supporters of Daystar have only added to the trauma. Why does the burden always fall on victims to prove their innocence, while the powerful are shielded? Despite betrayal and backlash, Jonathan and Susie Lamb aren't seeking revenge. Their cry is for something much greater: accountability, transparency, integrity. They believe that spiritual leaders must be held to a higher standard. Their story is not just about exposing a cover-up, it's about protecting the innocent and honoring God's call for justice. This is a reminder that even in darkness, the light of truth can shine through. Justice may be delayed, but it cannot be denied. If this story has touched you, remember, faith isn't blind. It's bold, courageous, and stands for what's right. Let us hold our leaders accountable and protect the vulnerable, because that's what true faith demands. Please consider subscribing to Anointed TV and help us reach 50,000 subscribers. Together, we can continue spreading the message of truth and accountability in Christian leadership. As always, stay strong in your faith and never stop fighting for justice. God bless you all, and we'll see you in the next video.